Hi, boys and girls. It is Mrs. Chubb here, and today we're going to talk about how to write our own short story fairy tale. In your slides, you will have a couple examples, so we're going to walk through it today so that you can create the best piece of writing that you know how to do. You are going to use your characters and your setting that you already created this week. Okay, so the first step is we are going to use the story map to help you think about your story. And when you use the story map, you can fill in your setting that you created. You can fill in your good characters and your bad character that you already created this week during writing time. The next part to our writing assignment is we have to figure out the plot. What is happening in the story? Okay, so what is the problem? What is the solution? How the problem is solved? And remember that all fairy tales have some sort of magical element to it. So we're going to think about how we want to incorporate our magic. Okay. So if you want, you can create your own plot or come up with your own ideas, or you can use some examples that are in your slides. So if you go to the next slide, it looks like this, and you can decide whether you want to use this or not. So you might think, in my story, I'm going to write about a dragon that kidnaps a princess. Or maybe you're going to include a shipwreck. Or maybe you're going to have a witch casting a spell, or maybe your characters are just lost in the woods. You also might have your own ideas, so you can create your own plot. Okay, so we're going to look at Mrs. Chubb's for an example, and then it'll be your turn to create your own. So if we look here at this story map, it is filled in, but we're going to talk about each part. So in this story, it is going to take place in the sea. Our good characters are the fairy godmother and the princess, and our bad character is going to be the dragon. The problem of this story is that the princess goes to the sea by herself, and there is a dragon in the sea when the princess is looking for starfish. The next part is the magic, and in the magic part of our story includes the fairy godmother, and she has magical powers. The solution, how our problem is solved. Well, the problem is going to be solved by the fairy godmother turning the dragon into a baby turtle. Here, 1, 2, and 3 are just our events, and we'll add more details to this when we go and start writing our stories. The first part in the beginning of our story, the princess goes to the sea alone. Then the dragon appears out of the sea. And then last, the fairy godmother turns the dragon into a baby turtle. Okay, so this is our guide, and you are going to use this to help you then turn it into a piece of writing. So as Mrs. Chubb reads this, you're going to kind of think about how maybe you are going to come up with your own story. Once upon a time, there was a princess who loved to swim in the sea. She wanted to find a starfish, but she knew she shouldn't swim alone. As she was entering the water, a large tail appeared. The tail got closer and closer until it swept her off her feet. The princess felt scared. She called for help. Then she looked down, and the tail was gone. Next to her on the beach was a baby turtle and a fairy. The fairy godmother had saved her. Whew! Next time, she will be sure to bring a friend. Okay, so as you can see, Mrs. Chubb used all of the pieces that she planned in her head on the story map, and then she turned them into sentences. Okay, and then when you are completely finished with your writing, you can go back and make sure you have capital letters at the beginning of each sentence, periods at the end of each sentence, and you also can check to make sure that you are spelling your words how they sound. So you use the letters that they sound. Okay, can't wait to hear all of your creative stories.